Hello.
Hey man, it's me.
You sound okay, dude?
I, I don't even know anymore. I watched this movie recently and it just made my brain leak.
Oh, really?
Oh, trust me, you don't understand. This would make Zoo Race look like Citizen Kane.
Well, what exactly are you talking about? I can't follow you.
Oh, you clearly have no idea what we're in. I'm watching Dorbees making decisions!
Okay, so what exactly is Dorby?
I have no idea! So, we're gonna watch us some Dorbees, everybody. Alright, let's see how we got here. According to the powers that be, aka the internet, this piece of CGI is supposedly a pilot to a religious kids show. And yeah, I'm using the term religious loosely, because honestly, I can't see where all this ties in with any sort of Christianity. It was made by a Christian gospel group known as the Gaithers. You know, the guys who are also behind this right here. Actually, this gives me a strange sense of deja vu. Where have I seen something like this before? A 3D animated show aimed at kids with Christian themes here and there to teach morals with humor and songs thrown into the mix. Oh, that's right! This was apparently trying to cash in on this. And if you couldn't tell, this came out several years before this. Make of it what you will, but growing up, VeggieTales has always been a childhood relic of mine. Was it flawless? No. But on the grounds of teaching about religion, it still has a great amount of entertainment that everyone can admire. I've even heard atheists say they enjoy VeggieTales. This seems to be ripping it off to a T, without any sort of understanding of what made it so great to begin with. And you know what? For something trying to teach about religion, this barely has any mention of God whatsoever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this like going against your goal or something? Now, you don't have to be overly preachy to make your lessons clear, but you know, you need to make this sort of thing apparent. I'm gonna be honest, this took me multiple sittings to get behind. I walked into this with low expectations from the start, and by the time the show was over, it turned out to be an entirely different beast altogether. It's got loads of problems, and the first one of them is the theme song. Just roll it.
Dorbees, everywhere I look I see Dorbees, rolling to and fro I see Dorbees, why don't they go away?
Alright, several things here. First off, what the hell is a Dorby exactly? It's not like this song's telling me anything about them. All I literally know is they won't go away. Second, if that's the slogan you're going for, Dorbees, why don't they go away? You just gotta know you're asking for trouble. It's like this whole theme song is supposed to be a joke, or maybe they're being self-aware and they know this whole thing is a bad idea from the get-go. And another thing, during the entirety of this show, they're referred to as balls, believe it or not. Think I'm kidding? Well...
Dorbees, tiny little balls.
Take my little ball friend.
Two cute little balls.
We're just balls.
I'm just a ball.
very convincing. We start off with this guy, who's supposed to be our storyteller, I guess. He starts going on about nothing related to what we're in for, and then this thing pops up. We don't get an introduction, we don't know anything about him, he just shows up to talk about food or going to the shop or something. It doesn't add up to anything, it just pads out the time we got here. By the way, expect this thing to be showing up now and again. It's supposed to be a running gag.
He's always around here someplace, and he is crazy.
Masterful framing right there. It's like this still is all I need to showcase everything wrong with this feat, right down to the flashing text.
You know, life in general always come back to making decisions.
For example, you decided to watch Dorbees, and now you get to experience the consequences that come with it.
Take my little ball friends, Jack and Mary Jane Dorby.
You know, the thing with this is that it's very easy to make such rather obvious jokes about the names involved. Cause when I think of children's entertainment, I think of puffing some sweet Mary Jane while chugging down a bottle of Jack. Now by this point, our first story finally begins, following these two kids at school. Jack apparently wants out, so he gets Mary Jane to join in as they both ask to see the nurse. Then suddenly the school goes on immediate lockdown. Wait, what?
Code red, escape attempt detected.
This has to be the result of someone's fever dream, I just know it. That's the only way I can see this making any sort of logical sense. And the lighting on this just flashes on and off. Did anyone look at this and not see how this could be a problem? I have a strong feeling this is supposed to be a parody of some sort. I mean, right as they get out, this blue guy does a James Bond, and on top of that, this girl apparently has a grappling hook and rings him back up when he falls down a pit. Okay, so between that pit, this instant lockdown, and all the obstacles they try to avoid, what kind of school is this? I can just imagine what happened if a shooting took place here. Also, a giant boulder. Yep, that's definitely not ripping off Indiana Jones in the slightest. Man, to think I'd be playing Crash Bandicoot right now. Okay, now that they're finally out of this hellhole, we get... Who the hell is this guy? Seriously, what does this guy on the couch have anything to do with the entirety of this show? As far as I can fathom, we only see this guy whenever a scene decides to end and move on. Also, I didn't notice this until like halfway through the movie, but as each scene progresses, he ends up getting bigger and bigger. It's almost like they want to catch us off guard, wondering if he's going to explode by the end of this episode. Is he a framing device? I have no idea. Is he supposed to be a second narrator? You tell me. Is he some bizarre scene transition? Looks that way, but bottom line, this green thing has no purpose whatsoever, and the story could be vastly the same if he was scrapped out. It's like this show is throwing shit at the wall, only it's using what doesn't stick. Seriously, this is like a bad game of Mad Libs. And I say this because our next scene tells an entirely different story. Okay, apparently Act 2 is about a foreign guy from Scandinavia, who I swear isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger at all, in search of some new clothes. So now we meet Diggs. Otto here asks for some new threads, and then we break in the song.
You go to Diggs. Oh yeah. You go to Diggs.
Now believe me, I'm gonna talk about the music to this at some point down the road. Right now I want to stay focused. I think we just entered the beta of Luigi's Mansion, or is this Silent Hill as everyone says? In any case, we're back to these two fuckers as they stop by a haunted house to talk about some stories behind. Oh my god, what the hell is up with her face? So Jack convinces her that they should go inside the house to show that they're all grown up, in a rather over-the-top speech complete with spotlights and a podium that rises up from the ground.
Call for the ball even when the coach doesn't want to feed you a rock.
What? No, that was not my editing to showcase how terrible this film is. The sound literally cuts out during this scene. What did he just say there? I don't know, but regarding everything else going on, it could easily be skimmed over. Then these two decide to sing it out.
You know, we're 8 years old. What do we got to show for it?
And I gotta come to one conclusion. Wanna know what's really sad? If the visuals in this thing weren't so god-awful, this music would be an excellent listen. Seriously, these songs aren't really that bad. In fact, it's probably the best part about this whole thing. A common trend I've noticed with every turn in the world. Hey guys, the camera's right here. Why are you turning away from us? Or was it easier to animate this way?
It's all for one and one for all.
Behold, the dance craze that is sweeping the nation! So wait, was this a music video? Ah, fuck it, I still got a few more minutes of this shit to go. What's next?
Dorby German Access Television presents Mr. Poe und Jogel.
Who's the strongest Dorby in the world, who's loved by every boy und girl und Jack? It's Mr. Poe und Jogel.
Hold up, I'm sorry. I thought I was watching a show about making the right choices. Which, by the way, is nowhere to be found so far within any of these two stories. I mean, the closest thing we've gotten to this quote-unquote moral is skipping school, and even that's tossed out the window the second they stepped out of the building. And now we get this massive big-lipped alligator moment that has nothing to do with everything else that's happened at this point. By the way, I just love how this theme song consists of still images and black text. I've made slideshow movies that had more ground to stand on than this Mr. Poe and Jogel skit. Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't a skit, considering this goes on for about 6 minutes. Let's just see what we got here, shall we? So the story for this time waster is that the superhero sidekick named Jogel is trapped by an evil French cow and is strapped to his stretching machine? Anyway, Mr. Poe has to save Jogel and stop this Dr. Dairy from taking over the world or something because... Of course!
I am quite uncomfortable.
Hey, Jogel, how do you think I feel, buddy? Some half-assed rendering, and then Mr. Poe drags on time as he pulls a bunch of random shit out of himself while Jogel goes on singing, which we are not listening to. This goes on for quite some time, by the way. What really happens here is that Mr. Poe sees a switch giving him 3 options. Either to push for world peace, to end world hunger, or to free Yogel. Just guess what happens. Honestly, I'd get better kicks out of watching choppy Gmod videos on YouTube. This is just the laziest. And the stylized outlines on the characters in this thing is just distracting and doesn't really work for the show here. Oh, and this all ends when they tip the cow over. Props to whoever took the time to animate this falling sequence. You know how earlier I made it clear that this was a VeggieTales knockoff? Well, here it really shows, because they literally say, note for note,
Tune in next time when we hear Dairy say,
I hate to be tipped.
oops, way to give yourself away there. What the hell?
Hey, y'all, what you doing over there? Trying on some stuck clothes or something?
I'm just gonna skip through this if you don't mind. So now Otto starts saying how grateful he is to Diggs, saying how everyone he's encountered hasn't been clear with him or something, I don't know. I think this is where the lesson of this story is supposed to come into play, and this somehow applies to Diggs.
I guess every Dorbees gotta make the right choice sometime.
Yeah, considering the premise of the show you're in, no shit! Of course, Diggs comes clean and says how in spite of being the best clothing store in town, he can never make Otto look good no matter what, and I'm still wondering what this has to do with making the right decisions. This sounds more like telling the truth or being honest. I don't really understand this thing. Jesus, how does any of this connect with God or religious faith? Oh hey, I thought you guys were of existence. Let me give you a brief rundown of everything that follows. They go through doors and find what looks like a plight down to hell, a pot of gold of which dumbass McGee over here completely ignores, a giant arrow with Jimmy Hoffa, which I'm sure is gonna go swimmingly with the kids. Good luck explaining this one to him, parents. Somehow they encounter Elvis. This orange fucker comes back to ramble about nothing. The only real thing that happens is Jack falls down another hole. Mary Jane, you do have a grappling hook on you, right? Why not just use that to ring him back up? Oh, I'm sorry, that'd be taking the easy way out. I understand. Second, it can't be that tight a space for Jack shit over here to be stuck like that. He could easily just get himself out and still be okay. So with this movie being about doing the right thing or something I completely forgot, Mary Juana over here goes and gets help.
We here at Channel 2.3 feel their hurt, feel their pain, and feel their need. We feel their longing to be free. But they did skip school and disobey their parents, so I can't help but feel that somehow that they deserved it.
Sure. These kids could be facing severe danger, and all you could say is they definitely deserve it. Love your skewed priorities right here. Seriously, what the fuck?
Coincidence?
I think not!
As we're finally wrapping this thing up, Jack Daniels gets pulled to safety. He makes up with his father, who for some reason changed hair color in between shots, and we get another song because this was apparently about God or something. Fuck, that was such a long time ago. You know, I first thought this was an okay beat, but then I remembered The Wiz. All they've really done is change the words around. I'm just glad none of these balls, as they are stripping out of their clothes.
Bang me up, Scotty. That's pretty neat, isn't it?
Like I was saying, life is about choices. And a good one, it ain't always easy to make. But if you pray to the good Lord, He's gonna keep you on the straight and narrow.
So everyone, have you learned something today? I sure did. Always stay in a backwards logic school, complete with death traps, and tell foreigners how hideous they look because apparently that's what the good Lord God wants us to do. No, I'm straightforward. I'm down with this moral. Makes perfect sense. About as much sense as a horse fucking a tiger. And that was Dorbees, everyone. I hope for the life of me that the people behind this don't ever put this on their resume because this would be a huge embarrassment if there ever was one. I've seen a lot of weird shit in my day, but never in my life have I seen anything so disjointed, so nonsensical, so visually cringeworthy that all of this combined becomes what is probably the biggest mindfuck of our time. The story doesn't add up to anything, the moral is almost non-existent, and the animation is, well, it speaks for itself. If you want your Christian animated kicks, you're better off with VeggieTales. But if you can somehow manage to stomach this streak of sheer stupidity, you've got about as much balls as I have stepping into this territory. No pun intended, of course. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go lie down. This movie really messed me up in the head, and then some. Yeah?
I want 30 minutes of my life back.